Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to just get started now. I have a couple of reminders that at the end of the day, we will have a cocktail hour so that you can continue networking. So stick around. So I am pleased. My name is Lisa Hawley, and I'm pleased to introduce our next guest speaker. He's been profiled in the 15th Annual Hollywood Reporter Next Gen Edition, a top 10 Blacks in Technology to Watch, and listed in Black Enterprises as having a really cool job. As the Director of Content Partnership for Google, he oversees film, television, and original content partnerships for YouTube, and has been instrumental in launching new services over the past couple of years, including original programming channels and the recently launched subscription model this month. Prior to YouTube, he served as Senior Vice President of Digital Distribution for the Americas of Paramount Pictures, overseeing distribution for online, mobile, and digital platforms. Besides that, this Bronx native took his passion for technology, culture, and his curiosity for the future to write and publish a science fiction novel. The title of the book is called Legions of the Last Space Shuttle. His experience is eclipsed by only the quality of his relationships dedicated to give back. As such, he is a board of trustees at the Pomfret School and sits on the board of directors of the Breezy Foundation, a nonprofit Los Angeles organization that helps low-income youth. Fascinating person, and we're in for a treat today. His title of his presentation is Two Turntables and a Mic. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Malik Ducard.
All right, thanks so much, Lisa. And thanks so much for having me here today at the Digital Diversity Network Conference. This organization is so important to so many different futures, and I'm honored to be here, and just in terms of the diversity that is in the marketplace and what we really strive to get out into the marketplace. It's just a complete honor to be here. So thanks again for having me. I'd like to talk about three things today: technology, diversity, and innovation. And what better place to start than this? Two turntables and a mic. So simple, yet so powerful. Back in the 80s, MCs from the Bronx, where I grew up, took these tools and innovated scratching, rapping, and rocking the mic. And it led to a new form of music, inspiring a creative movement that would forever change the music industry. And it all started with two simple pieces of technology: a turntable and a mic. And it's amazing to think about how much creativity is enabled by technology. As a child, I always felt the most creative, the most engaged when I started taking apart devices, clocks, radios, anything that I could get my hands on, to see how they worked, to change them, to remake them, and much to my mom's chagrin, at times break them. Then the 80s happened, and personal computers started to take hold. I begged my mom to buy me the Commodore 64 and modem for Christmas. And she saved up and went to an electronics store called Crazy Eddie and got it for me. And his prices were insane, if you remember that. I was so excited. And I tried to get her to let me open it up before Christmas. And she said no, but she let me actually read the manual in the weeks leading up to Christmas. And I know it sounds funny, but I was ecstatic. I read that manual every single day, every night, teaching myself basic programming skills. And then when Christmas Day came, I tore through the wrapping paper, set up the computer, and discovered a whole new world I didn't even know existed. Online news groups, programming, sharing, information. Suddenly, I was transported to the information superhighway. Well, back in '85, it was more like the information dirt road, but that was fast compared to nothing. And took me to other places, gave me access to people around the world. I'd share programs I made, thoughts I had. My Commodore 64 became my 2 turntables and my mic. And then my love of technology would continue on into college, and I used it to develop my other love, storytelling. See, I was always the guy who always had the latest technology of the day by his side, which in '91 was a VHS camera from the school TV station. And not just any VHS camera, a real big-ass VHS camera. My shoulder still hurts. So I used this video camera to tell all kinds of stories, dramas, comedies, and some things that probably should have been left on the cutting room floor, like my super insightful documentary about toilets. YouTube was far from being born, but my approximation of it was collaborating with a bunch of friends, shooting videos, then taking the subway to Midtown Manhattan to the public access TV station there to broadcast our videos to New York. That was my first experience with video distribution, and I thought I was big time. But now today's students just shoot, click, and stream out to the world instantly. When I tell my kids, I've got 3 of them, about life without YouTube, without high-speed internet, they just look confused. They just don't get it. And following college and my MBA at UCLA, I had the opportunity to work in content distribution and acquisitions for several studios. At MGM, Lionsgate, and Paramount, I had the chance to find undiscovered projects and give them a stage. And I tried hard to ensure that we weren't always going to the same production companies for the same type of content, but rather spreading our wings and seeking out fresh projects. I remember one cool movie we acquired that became a kind of a cult classic hit called Bubba Hotep. It was Ossie Davis's last film before he passed away. And it was a horror comedy where he played JFK opposite his friend Elvis. And there were mummies and there was action, and I'll admit it, I just didn't get it. And I actually passed on the movie. But then I kept getting pinged by different people, some who knew me, some who didn't, saying, "Did you hear about Bubba Hotep? You gotta see Bubba Hotep. Bubba Hotep is hot." You see, I'd passed on the film, but the fans didn't. They got it. I just had to listen. So we did just that and bought the film, and it went on to be successful for everyone. See, the thing is, the fans are always talking. They have opinions, they have stories, and with social media and technologies that allow for crowdsourcing, their voices are amplified and can be heard more clearly. We just have to listen. But still, the traditional distribution pipeline can only hold so many stories and listen to so many voices. And because of this, there are, unfortunately, so many great voices and creators whose work never sees the light of day. So that's why I joined YouTube. With its 1 billion monthly unique users, YouTube is a very big pipeline, and it has democratized content distribution for a new generation of creative minds, granting them immediate access to global audiences. And entering this space is as simple as owning a phone with a video camera. At its basic level, that's all it takes. And there are countless examples of Asian Americans, Latinos, African Americans who found vast audiences and are having great success on the platform. Let's take Issa Rae, whose show Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl has become a hit on YouTube, delivering humor that many black women can relate to, and that I happen to love as well. Her audience is so engaged that when they started sending her comments asking her about the clothes featured in her show, she soon found herself selling branded merchandise. And then there's Justin Lin, the director of 3 of the Fast and the Furious movies. He was frustrated that he didn't see more Asian Americans represented on TV. So he partnered with Asian American YouTube stars like Ryan Higa to create a channel called Yam Yam F. You offend me, you offend my family. That's what it stands for. And it's a great channel that has over 500,000 subscribers and tens of millions of views. So many diverse stories and so many diverse voices. But diversity is sometimes a funny word to me. And I say that knowing that the name of this organization is the Digital Diversity Network. You see, the real world is already diverse. It's full of colors, experiences, orientations, ethnicities, and so on. We know this. It should be the norm that what is reflected in the media mirrors reality. And And unfortunately, as we all know, that's not always the case. But the good news is that technology can help to change this. And you don't have to look further than platforms like YouTube to see some of that reality today. On YouTube, 70% of our views comes from outside the United States. And then when you drill down into any particular country, the stat that I just mentioned gets even more interesting. In the UK, creators there get about 80% of their views from other countries. Then in Mexico, 50% of their views are from outside of Mexico. You get the picture. That's diversity. And we see so many creators marinating in this, collaborating with each other, and expanding their global footprint with ease. For example, there are about 30 million non-resident Indians in the world, and YouTube is used as a way to connect them to the content that they love from back home. That's diversity. Rap battles started in the Bronx, but now has a worldwide stage on YouTube, allowing people to enjoy, connect, and compete in this art form with digital communities around the world. So I wanted to have you check out some video from one of our biggest channels called the Filipino Rap Battle League. So just take a look.
Mga nanako mo at yan ang ginawang pang-hype. Supot lahat ng bara mo kapag binabagan to tarantado para kakaiba lang pag-live. At para mas sumikat na binata na pirata makilala bukod pa sa nagawang pag-bite. Alam ko magaling ka mag-freestyle pero tangin na ka magaling ka rin pala.
I don't know what he's saying, but that's hot. And almost 800,000 subscribers on this channel. 15 million views on that video alone. That's diversity. Then we saw the Harlem Shake have a worldwide conversation. 1.6 million uploads of different Harlem Shake versions. I did one with my kids, and I'm proud to say I got over 200 views to add to the 1.6 billion views across all fan videos. There we go. When we look at our fan communities on YouTube, what's amazing to see is that they span all backgrounds and all cultures. We call them Gen C. They're a generation of 18 to 34-year-olds who embrace diversity fully and wholly. When people talk about Gen C, they generally talk about 4 different C's. Gen C are creators. They're a generation of makers. They have the tools and they live by the motto, I can, therefore I do. Gen C is about community, curation, and connections. They love to share. They're a team. They work together across time zones and geographies to shape culture and write tomorrow's headlines. And that leads me to a 5th C that I want to add today. Gen C is colorful. It's black, it's white, Latino, Asian, Middle Eastern, and it knows no borders. They bear hug diversity. And in fact, they more than embrace diversity, they search for it. They relish different voices, different content, and they want to share it. This is the generation that views having a black president as normal, and who will see the first woman president. This is the generation that watches rap battles from the Philippines while sitting in South Central. And this is the generation that uses YouTube and other social media platforms as a means to show the world news and atrocities that might otherwise not be seen. It takes the notion of freedom of speech to a whole other level. This is the generation that will, with ease, with a mobile phone, with a watch or a pair of glasses, connect across cities and suburbs, shanties and high-rises and valleys. Gen C is beautiful and colorful. Alas, Gen C truly embodies diversity. It's funny, sometimes when younger people ask me, how can I get into digital? I actually ask them back, you tell me, how can I get into digital? Because you know this better than me. You see, the opportunities are there now. The technology is open, and the audience is here. The revolution is happening right in front of us. I'm going to leave you with a secret. I've never been more uncomfortable than I have at this moment in time. And it's not just because I showed you my Harlem Shake video, but I'm uncomfortable because the world is changing constantly, massively, right in front of us. And that's exciting and challenging. I believe that in many ways, comfort is the enemy of progress. And given that many of us touch the digital industry in some ways, you know that this lack of comfort is the hallmark of the day. If we were comfortable, businesses would not be growing. New technologies would not be reinventing. And we all would be complacent with the level of diversity that we see in these businesses today. I say it's a good thing we're not comfortable. There'll be time for that later. But with technology driving change faster than ever before, we're seeing a major shift in media. The voices that speak the loudest now will be heard for decades to come. So, speak loudly and rock your 2 turntables and a mic. Thank you. So, with that, I would love to take questions and any thoughts. I think there's a microphone that will go.